All right, aloha guys. We're back with another live stream for our Moving Hawaii channel, which is Core Team Hawaii's YouTube channel, and our podcast, Hawaii Real Estate Podcast, which our assistant has started to upload all the sites and Apple Podcasts and all that stuff, Spotify. But this is going to be a good one because we're going to get into economics and the market and predictions and get a little more analytical. Some people in our most recent video, which I haven't even seen yet, and I wasn't there for the shooting, or kind of sort of complaining like, hey, but where's the actual data? And so we're going to talk, well, we're not going to pull up a ton of graphs and whatever. We're going to talk a little more technically today. But as always, go to coreteamhawaii.com, go to the bottom, fill out the contact form for any real estate needs that you may have. If you need to get introduced to lender, then we'll be introducing you to Jody and her team. In the meantime, Jody, all right, Kenji, can you bring up that comment that we're going to address for much of this podcast and live stream?
Yep, it's up.
All right, so comment is on screen.
Yep.
I don't see it on the monitor up there,
Yeah,
but it's still
up.
just still up. Okay, and I'm gonna be doing something here. So tell them about the comment.
So the comment basically is questioning why we're talking so much stories and saying like, okay, well, this offer was submitted and what the anecdotal evidence was versus being a little bit more actual data driven. And it says, I'll just read it. It says,
what's their prediction? What are they saying is going to happen that we aren't saying?
Their prediction is that the 10-year bond yields are going to go up, which means mortgage rates are going to go up, which I fundamentally 100% agree with that connection. And then if that continues, then prices will go down even more.
Right. So they're saying 10-year, what is it? The 10-year treasury yield is going to go up. So mortgage rates will go up. So housing prices will go down. There's a little bit of assumptive nature in that comment, but I appreciate the comment. And so we unpacked it a little bit. Granted, Jody's better off answering this and her team, and they're really good with this stuff. But we had a conversation about it prior to just help me be able to respond a little better because I don't have a master's in econ. However, you notice I changed into the construction Brada shirt, right? And so one thing I thought of today when I was looking, we're still living in boxes in our new house. And this is just kind of draped over a box because we didn't put our closet systems up yet. And I was like, you know what? I've been thinking of getting core team like construction kind of shirts made, or just wear something like a construction kind of shirt. Because I got this from, shout out to my drywall guy, Memo. He gave me this shirt, and it's like their drywall company shirt. And the reason being is sometimes you have nosy neighbors, and sometimes you want us to come for a listing appointment, and you want to talk about selling your house, and we have to walk around, blah, blah, blah. But you're like, I don't want to bring these guys wearing a aloha shirt and nice, clothes, and they're walking around, and then my neighbor, maybe your neighbor's your mom. I don't know. Maybe your neighbor's your cousin. Maybe your neighbor's just nosy, or whatever the case may be. You don't want it to be obvious that realtors are showing up, right? So just let me know. We show up like this if you need to. Jeans, boots, whatever you need. It's rare, but I've been to a couple listing appointments with her. Like, I'd rather not go outside because my neighbors are a little weird, or like my neighbor's the association president, and then they're just a pain in the butt or whatever. So we can just act like we're quoting you for a new bathtub,
Anyways. Is it gonna be yellow?
I figure high vis, yeah.
Yeah.
You can do this with like some boots and jeans, or you could go high vis.
Well, we have been getting requests for the shirts.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Fans.
Oh yeah.
And people that watch.
Well, you can go to the bottom and buy a core team shirt.
Okay.
So you can go to our YouTube channel.
I guess I'll have to buy some shirts then.
And well, you got the hookup. But you can go to the bottom, if you never plan to come and buy a home with us, if you just want a core team shirt, you can go or sell a home with us, because everyone who sells or does real estate with us, they end up getting a shirt of some sort. But you can go on our YouTube channel and purchase them. But yeah, at some point I'm gonna have to change out of this shirt because I feel like you guys not gonna take me seriously talking about macroeconomics in this shirt. But let's, we're gonna bring up that comment about the economy and about whether or not prices are going to go up or down. And then we're going to unpack it a little bit and kind of focus on that. But before we get to that, let's do our brags, we call our safe survey. So it's feedback from our clients. So I'll start out with this one about Mahe from Byron. She's been excellent. The only problem is I'm very particular about what I'm looking for, and nothing is coming out. And only one house came up in the last 1.5 or 2 years. I'm a very picky buyer. So I actually spoke to Byron. Shout out to Byron. And he, there's just one particular house. And in this market, they had like 15 offers.
Wow.
And they went, although asking is a relative thing and it's sort of an irrelevant thing at times, but they went $180,000 over their list price, something like that. And we went, forget, 120,000 over or something. So we got smashed. We got annihilated by an even greater cash offer that closed in like 16 days. That was still pretty high.
Yeah. That just happened to one of our other buyers too.
Yeah.
It was like crazy because they put in an offer before it got listed. So hopefully you just get into escrow and go.
Yeah.
And then they came back and said they countered. And then our buyer was ready to accept the counter, and then they pulled it, and then they decided to list because I guess there's just too much interest.
So there's a strategy, right? When you have, it depends. Every situation is it depends. But when you have a pre-MLS opportunity, off the market opportunity, is it the same agent? So is it core team and core team seller and core team's buyer thinking about doing business? Is it some random person? Like there's just so many factors. Like, is it in Eva? Is it in Manoa? There's so many factors that can go into it. But sometimes it's better not to put too strong of an offer pre-market, because if I limp in and go a little bit lower and then the seller goes, well, no, if you go up by X amount, then I'll consider locking it up before I go to the market. Then the seller gets to feel like they had a win.
Yeah.
And you arrive at where you're winning because you're getting the house you want without competition. But if you came in really strong, I don't know. It just depends. It could work against you because it could be like, well, damn, if Jody's willing to do that before I even listed it, who knows what other people are willing to do? I want to find out. Or you come in really strong and that's why you got it. So there's no absolute knowing in real estate. That's something we say as we're advising sellers and buyers in these tough negotiations. But we do try to look at every situation in a very nuanced, sort of tactical, strategic, Machiavellian, really discerning way. Let's look at another brag. We'll do one of these ones. Uncanny. Well, the other one from Jeremy says he's doing great and we're ready to put in an offer. So short and sweet. Jody, can you read this one about Kenny while I get dressed again?
Yes. It says Kenny has been excellent at communicating and also bringing insight to our needs and questions. We were introduced to Jody Tonga and her team through Kenny. They were excellent in assisting our needs. So far, the pressure of the unknown in purchasing has been felt, but Kenny has made it realistic and comfortable for us. I can say that he is the right fit for us. Awesome. Aww. Oh, yeah, I'm talking to these guys today again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. We typically have, like, Kenny is entirely different than Aiden.
Yeah.
And Mahe. We're all pretty dang different. But along with my assistant Charlotte and myself and just reviewing the client profile, getting to know people, I, by the way, am a part of everything. So if anything big comes up or if you just need me, or maybe I'm just there on your showings because I have time and whatever, I'm a part of it all. But whether it be Kenny, Aiden, Mahe, all of our clients tend to say, wow, that was perfect. And so we do a good job of placement and they're just all really great. All right, let's move to this. Let's move to this. So I'm back in my macroeconomics listing buyer consultation shirt. And let's talk about that comment. So Surf Bum, thank you for the comment. And there's other people who were less, who are kind of more of a dick about their comments on this one because I guess we talked about the market. Kenji, I didn't watch the video.
It's Mahi giving like a market update, what she's been seeing.
But just her, what she's feeling, what she's seeing at that time when she shot it.
I don't know. I read this comment too.
Well, there's another one who's like, how could you guys not give data? I wanted a realtor who's giving data.
I see that.
But one thing you guys have to understand is data is always in hindsight. You can't the whether it be the University of Hawaii, Department of Business and Economics data that they put out, or the Honolulu Board of Realtors, excuse me, or whatever. That data is always lagging, right? Like you need it to happen, and then it's published a month later. Sometimes we're talking about what we're seeing and feeling in real time. And actually, the data isn't out yet. We were just talking about this prior to coming on. The data is not out to support what Jody and her team, even with other realtors and our team who sells like 70 homes a year, 60 something $1 million worth of real estate a year. We are actually seeing something recently that the data may or may not support, depending on where you're looking and how you're looking at it. So, and data just doesn't perform well on this channel. There are YouTube channels on the internet that probably are all a guy Zoom channeling with a graph, and he's just talking, and he's talking to econ nerds or whatever. But on average, that doesn't perform well. We need videos to perform so the algorithm pushes us up, and so you click and you go to coreteamhawaii.com and we do business. In the buyer consult, in the process of us having a relationship, we could get nerdy. We can get as nerdy as you want. Even if it goes beyond our level of comprehension, we're going to go and bring in people that fully understand and participate in these conversations. So that's that. But let's read the actual comment. Sorry, I have popcorn. Sorry, excuse me. People out there, I ate a little popcorn earlier today. All right, so the guy says, good content, but how come you're not showing actual data as opposed to anecdotal evidence? All islands except Kauai have seen an increase in supply and lower home sales. You didn't give a timeline on which you're judging this.
Right.
Yet you didn't mention this. Overall macro conditions show 10-year bond yields likely going up, indicating higher mortgage rates to come, which would in turn force prices down even more. I'm looking for a realtor who knows their stuff, not just trying to close more deals. Well, overall, I appreciate this comment. On your last sentence, we'll see. Maybe hit us up and see if we're right. Because if we're not, it's okay, my brother. But we're not that. Like, Jody, help me out here. You don't have to embellish too much because it's me and I'm here. But we aren't the people who are working with just anyone and chasing business and convincing you to work with me. And I just have commission breath. Like, on the spectrum of the people you work with or have worked with, like we're on the other side.
Yeah. You guys are, well, you especially like to show, you're like Casey on our team, who likes to show like the worst case scenario. Like, okay, yeah, I can talk to you about what's going to happen if we see market appreciation at 7%, but I'm not going to talk to you about that number. I'm going to talk to you about like 1% or 2%, and let's look at what the exit strategy looks like there. So your super macro overview when you're meeting with buyers and sellers alike is not necessarily, I'm just going to tell you what you want to hear so that you work with me.
We lose deals because of
There
it.
have been, because you didn't say like, yeah, I can get you 800 or I can get you whatever the number they want to hear. You've been much more.
I lost the seller that you introduced us to. Because I gave them a real-time analysis and they wanted to hear a number much higher. I gave them room to say, it's possible. There's a couple on the market and you, Mr. and Ms. Sarek, 6 months out. So depending on how these perform, it's possible, but I don't think I can tell you what you want to hear right now.
Right.
They ended up finding someone who did and selling with someone else who did tell them what they wanted to hear. That person probably also had the advantage of coming in way later once market conditions had changed.
Right.
And so, yeah, we're not that surf bum. We certainly aren't. So we'll excuse you on that sentence. However, let's talk about the rest. Let's talk about the rest. So maybe when Jody goes off and takes over a little bit more, I'll bring up some of the data showing how inventory has actually dropped more recently. Now, year to date up until maybe April or May, yes, you had seen this rising in inventory. And depending on the market, like in Mililani for townhomes, it had been that trend had continued even later and steeper into June and July. A lot of inventory and prices going down, right? But on a macro sort of Oahu as an island, Honolulu County scale, more recently, inventory is actually dropping. And we are seeing prices go at a minimum be stable in the single family realm, if not go up in most markets. But even in the condo market, which had been the more suppressed, we're starting to see more and more buyers. We have a townhome that we were dead in the water, getting no offers, no showings, no action, no nothing. Then we went into escrow and got 2 backup offers. And everyone I talked to, and they're like, yeah, in the last 2 weeks or so, we feel like all these buyers are coming back to the market, whatever reason, or the summer over, or they're actually seeing the 10-year treasury go down and rates go down because rates have actually trended down, if you want to talk about actual data.
Right.
And so recently, like the data published by these entities isn't even showing it yet. What we are seeing is more people coming back to the market, sellers getting multiple offers, buyers losing out. And I don't care if that makes you buy more houses or less houses. That just is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So Jody, talk to us about, so there's an assumptive nature to this, which is that overall macro conditions show 10-year bond yields likely going up.
Yeah.
But you're doing what you accused us of. Like, you say they're gonna likely go up. There's no economic Nostradamus. Like, you don't know.
Nobody has a crystal ball.
But they've actually gone down. That's been the trend.
They've
recently.
actually gone down. And this is something you get frustrated with us a lot.
I do. Go ahead. Say it.
Because we are like, well, based on the most recent reports that came out, now this happened. And you're like, but last week you told me that this happened. And so that's why this happened. And I'm like, yeah, right. So it's something that it's like, what, to me, it comes down to, what does the market think is more important? Does the market think inflation not going up is more important? Or does the market think that a weak jobs report or unemployment? So those are the two.
Well, and does the market, correct, you correct me, Jody's the authority on this more than I, right? So does the market also acknowledge different reasons why inflation numbers are going up?
Well, definitely not the common layperson.
Well, so when this person is saying, well, the 10-year treasury is going to go up, it seems that they are focused on maybe the CPI inflation numbers.
Right.
So inflation's up, so 10-year treasury is going to go up. But the counter to that is the jobs report came out like COVID times week, right?
So bad.
The jobs report was so bad, which the response to that is usually lowering rates, right?
Yes.
But then this person surf bomb will be like, yeah, but you're forgetting that inflation is up.
Right.
The difference is inflation. The last time inflation was going up at a steep rate, it was because of artificially low interest rates, prolonged for too long, quantitative easing, cheap money, stimulus checks,
lots of spending,
weak jobs. And if you look at that in a deeper sense, weak blue collar or weak service jobs, weak lower paying jobs, but still a resilient white collar, high paying job market. And so people with decision making, home purchasing power, still retaining their jobs, but seeing 2% and 3% interest rates. All of this stuff caused inflation. What's causing inflation right now are the tariffs.
Right.
And so it's different. It's something that you could just end them and it would end, right? Take the tariff away, the inflation probably follows, right?
Definitely.
And so, in fact, the 10-year treasury has been going down, if I'm not mistaken. And if jobs reports continue like this, despite inflation looking high, the 10-year treasury may stay down, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, there's counters to that, such as the Deutsche Bank thing. I don't know if you saw in the text thread.
I did.
But what we to his point, like, stop making assumptions or giving anecdotes. Give the actual data. The data is such that the rates are going down.
I mean, January, the 10-year was 4.85. And today it was 4.085. And actually, when I last checked before coming here, it was 4.067. So it's down. I mean, and that's massive. Like, that's not, I mean.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah.
From 0.7-ish% down or whatever. What does that mean?
I mean, the market reacts if it moves by 0.1.
Yeah, and it's gone down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
so
that
a lot of that happened recently.
Mm,
So
yeah.
it's not like it was like, oh, this slow, steady, like decrease from 4.85 in January, and now we're in September and we're at 4.085. But there was data, again, it's like inflation versus unemployment. So the core inflation comes out and it's like, dang, it's high. Okay, the 10 years up. And then it's like the jobs report comes out weak. And then it's like, oh, the jobs report came out bad. Okay, the 10-year went down a little bit. And it's like, what are the markets going to predict when it comes to the federal funds rate? And right now, all signs point to the federal funds rate being decreased. And I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of the year, we were saying that there were going to be 6 decreases, like, yay, like at the end of last year.
To your point, I ignore that. Like, when you guys tell me there's going to be this many decreases, or Jerome Powell says it, I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I go off of a lot more recent, or even my predictions are yeah, I don't count on what they're gonna say.
Right.
Yeah, like on the 6
They're
rate
like
cuts or
real-time predictions.
real-time predictions, or if it's future and predictive, it's very principle based.
Yeah.
So when is your marriage right? When your kid's going to school? Who cares what the Fed says? Buy when you're ready type of advice. And then the rate cuts, who cares? Yeah.
But so that's kind of like what the Deutsche Bank thing is, because it's like, okay, you've been saying, like, okay, first you said there's going to be 6 rate decreases. Then you said, then nothing happened. And then because the core inflation was too high, then in March you were like, okay, we're not going to do it. We're pausing. And then in, May, you're saying, okay, there's going to be 4. And then of course nothing happened. And then in June, you're saying, right. So that's their point, is like the market now is thinking, okay, these really are devastating jobs report numbers. So now it is going to happen, and they are going to decrease the federal funds rate in September.
When did the jobs report come out?
So
Like 2 days ago?
last week.
Last week.
And that was after core inflation. So core inflation came out and it was a little bit higher than we would have wanted for mortgage rates purposes.
Okay, so it's like, oh no, inflation high, must raise interest rate.
Right.
That's the caveman. I'm caveman for you.
Right. And then the jobs reports came out and it was really bad. It was like there were 22,000 job creation when they were expecting 75,000.
Okay.
And then the real thing that crushed the 10-year is that there were revisions. So it's funny because what will happen is these reports will come out, but then quietly, behind closed doors, there will be these revisions that occur.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means that they changed the data. So the data came out in June, April, May, and June. And it was, maybe it was, I'm making up these numbers, but maybe it was 50,000 created, but the expectation was 70. So it wasn't that bad. But then now in September, they revised that. And they're like, actually, it was 6,000.
How do they revise it?
It's a revision. It's literally like, oh, we got the data wrong in real time. I mean, and
I'm about to put my tinfoil hat on. Feel this?
There's things about this administration. I mean, and I'm not, I'm neither here nor there, but I'm just saying, like, when data comes out that maybe this administration doesn't like, then people get fired. Things happen where there's like less of a check and balance than historically there have been. But anyways, so the data came out and then now they basically revised it.
Hey, I'm going to pause there. There's like some red right-wing person who's like, what did she just say? She hates Trump.
No.
I'm going to tell you, someone got mad at Jody for not being anti-Trump enough for that person. And she's like, I don't have the same problems you have. And then, but at the same, I'm gonna keep her neutral, but she's just talking from a numbers economist point of view. Like
Yeah.
there's no political charge there.
Yeah.
Just want to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted your flow.
But yeah, you interrupted my flow.
yeah. Well, the revisions, that's where we were.
Oh yeah. So basically it's like down 211,000. In a March, I think it's March of 2024 through April 2025. It's like 211,000 less jobs were created than anticipated.
How about this? Let's say there was a president who wanted to make sure the numbers supported his narrative. Aren't the people who run the banks of the world smarter than to just take the revisions for face value if they were inaccurate?
Well, if anything, I think it's the flip. So like they wanted to show a stronger jobs report.
Okay. Who's they? This cabinet, this office, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the people at the banks they don't care about.
There have been people questioning the data.
Yeah.
So it's like, really?
Yeah,
And we've talked about this.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this where it's like, everything is going great with the economy. The jobs reports are coming in strong. We're still at historically low unemployment rates, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah,
but why
remember,
does
like-
everyone feel why does it feel like that's not where we are as a nation? I'm
Yeah,
not
like 6
saying-
months ago, I remember the conversation in here being like, jobs just won't go away. People just like, the job's too good. Because I'm like, why won't rates drop? And you're like, the job's just too good. Job report keeps coming back too good. It's too
Unemployment is
good.
just too low.
Yeah, unemployment's too low.
And that's the like, we're a thriving economy where
We can't smash it. We're trying to put a lid on it, but we can't.
everyone's employed, everyone's happy. We're doing great, like, as a
But
nation.
people in general do not feel that way.
In real life.
No, yeah, it's hard to meet people who are like, it's so affordable. I just feel
Right.
so overall like my generation's winning. There's
Right.
none of that, right?
Right.
Especially
Like,
post-COVID.
yeah. Especially post-COVID. Because
Yeah.
during that time when it was like money was so inexpensive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then everyone kind of got used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that halted. And then everyone still stuck with their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden consumer debt is at an all-time high. Defaults are at a high.
Auto debt. Yeah. After COVID, like in later 2022, early 23, the data was like consumer debt, historic high, student loan debt, historic high, auto loan debt, historic high, mortgage debt only preceded by the end of 2007,
And savings at all-time lows.
and savings at all-time lows. And that was it's really hard to move that aircraft carrier.
Right.
Like it takes a while to move.
And
it.
it's hard
a
to
decade, I
tell
think.
someone, like, and I'm not talking about, I don't know, it's hard to say who I'm talking about, but I'm saying the nation as a whole,
Mhm.
laborers and, blue collar, and not blue collar plumbers and electricians and HVAC, not that,
No.
but I'm saying
More service, blue collar
Right.
type, low wage.
right.
Yeah.
It's hard to say to them that everything's great and that there's just the jobs are falling out of the sky and that you should be able to go get work wherever you want to get work and get fair pay and all that stuff.
So what we're saying is job shrink, unemployment up. There's nothing to support Surf Bum's claim that the 10-year is going to go up and then
Well-
mortgage rates are going to go up and then housing prices are going to go down because inventory of houses is going to go up. So you guys at home know, even if you're more caveman like me, right? Like a lot of houses for sale means either people aren't buying them or too many people want to sell them for some reason. And when you have excess of houses to choose from, you start to bid down. Your buyers have more leverage. And Surf Bum saying that's going to happen, but we have counterpoints to our own points, right? I wanted to counter Surf Bum because he came at us like sort of accusatory. But that's me personally. But there's a counterpoint. So if Kenj could bring up this Deutsche Bank thing, you got it up, Kenj?
Yep.
So recent skepticism on yield declines. You have it, Jody?
Yep.
So what is that? So I'll just read it for the people in podcast land. A counterpoint, Deutsche Bank is betting that market expectations for aggressive rate cuts, which is kind of what we've been talking about this last bit,
Yep,
are overly optimistic. So they're saying Derek and Jody in the last 15 minutes have been overly optimistic that it's going to continue this way. They warn that long treasury yields could rebound if rate cuts fall short. So does that mean like
that's the whole baked in thing.
if these rate cuts don't fix the problem, if the market, the economy doesn't respond to the solution that we put forth, then they're going to go, oh shit. Like if we cut rates, which is more inflationary, it's not helping. So we might as well raise them. Is that kind of
no. It's
okay. Correct me.
This is just simply saying that if we're expecting a 0.5 reduction or even a 0.75 reduction in the federal funds rate in September,
If we're expecting it in September,
that's what the market's expecting,
and they would want that to help bring back some jobs, right?
right?
Okay, so we're expecting that, and then the effect being more jobs.
Right. But that's the expectation. And then Jerome Powell comes out on September 20, whatever, 19th or whatever date it is, and says, it's here. We're reducing the federal funds rate by 0.25.
And
The market's
everyone's
going to freak out.
well, the market.
And
Okay.
that's a less than anticipated benefit that we all thought you were going to do.
So now the 10-year has
0.75.
to go up.
Yeah.
Because it went down too much.
Because
In
it's already
anticipation.
It's the baked in thing.
The baked in.
And that's why when I have people now that are like, I want to refinance for sure, but let's wait until Jerome speaks. And I'm like, here's the thing. We're in this unique window right now where our expectation is that it's going to be big. So that the market has already adjusted to that. The 10-year has adjusted to that. I mean, we're at a...
Well, in a way, you're saying sometimes opinion and sentiment is the way to go over data because data lags opinion and sentiment.
Yeah.
Data lags. So data lags. And so the surf bomb again, if Mahi is feeling like buyers are coming back, and I don't know, it's weird. I don't have the data yet, but our listings are getting more offers and our buyers are having to compete more. And that's not what June's data said. Like, I don't get it.
Right. Well, I mean,
there's some consider that too. Don't just be a pure spreadsheet nerd. Like, consider what she's feeling.
And
she's an active realist. She's a very, very active real estate agent on this island.
Yeah. And this is a little bit a combination of both. But like when we're saying, okay, we're looking back at the past 8 weeks, and a week ago we had 22 intake.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Right. And that's the highest it's been in the past rolling 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's data. And that's us feeling like, okay, we better get ready. People are coming back. It's happening. And we're submitting whatever, like 11 offers, and 4 get accepted.
Mm-hmm.
5 get accepted. So that's real. I mean, I guess it's not just statistics from a macro.
It's not just did the groundhog see a shadow though. Like, don't accuse us of that.
Right.
If Pacific Rim Mortgage all of a sudden is like, we only had like 10 applications last month, and then we had 10 today. There's probably like read into that, pay attention to that a little bit,
Right. It's a leading indicator.
It's a leading indicator. Yeah. Pacific Rim Mortgage is the leading indicator of U.S. economics.
Yes.
No,
exactly.
And Core Team Hawaii's contract, pipeline, escrow count, it matters. But I'm being a little ridiculous, but to address Surf Bomb's comment, like these things matter. Us seeing. So this seller, just to give you an idea of you know what, Surf Bomb, please comment and let me know that you watch this. The townhome that I'm talking about that caused us to have a 4-hour conversation a couple of weeks ago on macroeconomics, and also really micro, like what are townhomes in this zip code doing? What are single family and townhomes in that zip code doing? And just trying to make sense of it all. weeks ago when we were dead in the water on this listing, but my clients are in a bad position selling. And I've already invested $4,000 into this listing, approximately. I don't know. And then hours of our time and skill and expertise and effort. And they said, Derek, if I needed to sell it today or in the next few days, or I'm out, what price would I have to sell it at? And what do you think the chances that we sell it? And to fast forward to the answer that supports me being a good guy and a great agent, I said, if you frame your question that way, which isn't the only way we should talk about this, that's not the only way this conversation should be directed. But on that point, my answer to you is to pull it and rent it. Now, I hope that you will still work with me in a year from now after I've invested all this time, effort, been so skilled and honest with you. But I don't know that you will. I can't guarantee that you'll use me next year. Maybe you find a friend who wants to buy it, who's PCSing to Hawaii. You guys do an off-market deal, or you come to, who knows? But even though it supports me losing investment of time and money, I think you should pull it and rent it. And you know what proof of that? She was working with them to refi so that they could rent it.
I locked in their rate.
You locked in their rate so they could refi, so they could pull it off the market. So I would not earn, and I would have spent thousands of dollars. So we are not just trying to get another sale, but that is how we were feeling.
Well, and you had that conversation with them before you listed it.
Which?
Just in terms of like holding versus selling, holding a little bit longer.
We did, but admittedly, needing lagging data, like there may be leading indicators that I didn't catch, but there's data that lags. At the time we had our initial consult, I felt bullish. I said, hey, look, you are a family that's in a bad position. Here's my commission rate. But if you have to write a check to sell your home for greater than X amount, I give you my word that I'll lower my commission for you, because I just feel bad that you're having to write such a large check to sell your home. You got caught in bad timing. And I want to help you out. And I'm going to put my money and investment and time where my mouth is, and I'll lower it if we need to. And that's, we didn't get on the market for like another few weeks or month or whatever. And by that time, inventory was up and sales were down, and we're sitting there like, dang, if you're really telling me you have to be in escrow in the next week or so, or you're going to pull it, then we start making preps to pull it. And damn, I got caught too, and introduced her to my lender, etc. But then the market started to shift. These leading indicators, started to change. They start getting more applications. Refis start happening. Interest rates go down. Buyers coming back to the market. We're in escrow. So to give you an idea, when you're in escrow, so you go on coreteamhawaii.com and you go to the search function and it shows active, under contract, in escrow, or active, meaning it's available, or you're on Zillow or whatever. When you're in escrow like that, you don't get backups. Like sometimes you do. Sometimes like, oh, my clients just got to the island, or they just got their inheritance or whatever, and we just came into the market and we see you're in escrow. Man, we would have loved to catch you a couple weeks ago. But it's not common. And then we got two. Now, this is anecdotal, but to get two backups on a townhome that's sort of a commodity, like, that's crazy. So, yeah. Do we have questions, Ken?
Yeah, we got some comments and questions.
Okay, let's go. Can you, while I'm pulling it up,
Soy
can you give me
sauce.
the first one?
Soy sauce. We got Michael Latta saying what's up. Hello.
What's up, Michael Latta?
Yeah. Ashley says
And
hi.
Ashley, the one who's in escrow?
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Ashley? Your home inspection tomorrow.
Soy sauce boss.
It is what it is, and the updated numbers were bad, so she's not wrong. Right. But I also get it. If you are if you're a spreadsheet, deep numbers person, and you're like, but I want numbers to support what you're saying, I get the disappointment. But our YouTube channel is not that kind of channel. And so even if Mahi was that girl, even if to generate that spreadsheet and reference and whatever, on average, you guys don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe on Tuesday live, but on Sunday, like when you wake up and you're like, let me wipe the makapia out of my eyes and and check out this new video that Core Team put out on Sunday. You don't want a graph. You know what I mean? That's a different thing. So, yeah. Do prices for real estate in Hawaii ever go down? Yeah, of course they do. And that's why when we're doing a consult with you, it's not just this basic like, oh, it's always good to buy in Hawaii. You should always buy. On the same note, selling. In the near interim, should you time the market and be like, well, I'm not going to sell now. I'm going to wait for a couple of months and then I'll time the market and sell for more. Maybe. I'm more bullish on that than saying I'm going to buy and it's guaranteed going to go up. But still, a lot of the conversation around you selling is when it's the right time for you. Timing the market. I mean, just look at this summer. If you try to time the market for a townhome in Mililani, you said June, historically speaking, great month. School just got out. Relocation is happening. PCS is happening. June was a horrible time to sell a townhome in Mililani this year. But then September is a great time, which makes no sense. So don't try to time the market. What do I always say?
Time in the market.
Yeah, it's not timing the market.
It's time in the market.
Yeah, and so you can't really time it.
And just for FX Trader, that is why we always ask, like, how long do you think you're going to hold the property?
Yep.
Because then we can figure out an exit strategy and we can talk, medium/long term and what those numbers are going to look like.
It's kind of like day trading, right? The shorter the time of the investment, the more like tactical and what's the word I'm looking for? The more tactics you have to deploy.
Right.
But the longer the time of the investment, whether it's a house or it's an index fund,
right?
Your dollar cost averaging, which is like holding a house, is like dollar cost averaging into an index fund. The longer the time, the less tactical and the more principled you can be. And so Jody's asking, you don't hear this, but what she's thinking is like, how tactical are you and we trying to be, and how principled are we able to be?
Right.
And I said trying and I said able, because you prefer to be principled. You prefer to be long-sighted, right? Darren Yukihiro. Friends and family have told me property taxes range from $4,000 to $6,000 in Hawaii, while the Bay Area average is $10,000 per year. Why the huge discrepancy when both places have similar cost of living? Well, California has a different property tax structure. And so it's in California, there's Prop 7 or 19. I forget. There's a proposition that if you bought the house long ago and you pass it down to a family member who is of certain proximity in the family tree, they can keep that old 1970s property tax rate. So some people in California have low property tax, but in general, California is just a fat country. I know it's a state, but it's like, I mean, how many people are in Denmark versus California?
I don't know.
Can you look that up for us after? Yeah. Jamie. No, just kidding. But California is so huge that it's a harder budget to manage, and they just need more revenue, and it's more of a high tax state. I don't know what to say. I mean, we're pretty high tax too, but our property taxes, our rate is lower.
California is 39 million. Denmark is 5.9 million.
I mean, look at that. We are multiples of a Denmark, and so California is so huge. Prop 13 flagrant foul says, yeah. So it's just different. We just have a different property tax rate here. And even though we're very blue and union and sort of classical 80s union Democrat voting on average, although it did go more red this year, as most of the country did, but this past year. But we still like, because Hawaii is so expensive and it's so competitive, we have so many outside forces competing for our property, and the people are an indigenous people and or deeply rooted plantation people in terms of demographic. Our political climate is such that it's like, hey, let the people have low property tax so auntie can stay and keep her house, right? Now, people have posed bills where outsiders have to pay higher property tax, and there are other things on the table. I don't know how constitutional and what can get past a whole different conversation. But yeah, our property taxes are just different.
They're just lower.
They're just lower.
That's the one thing in Hawaii that's lower. Our state tax is like highest or second to the highest. I was trying to look it up.
We're top 5 or like top 3, top 2 for state tax, especially, and it depends on your wage, right? For a higher income earner, we're number 1 or 2. It's between us and California for higher income earners. Todd LaRock or something says property taxes are about 1.1% in California versus 0.35% in Honolulu. True. The difference in Honolulu, it's 0.35% on, and then there's a home exemption, and then after the first million, the delta above that. So if your home is tax assessed at 1.5 million, on the 500,000, you experience a higher tax rate. And so there's a little nuance to that, since most single families are tax assessed over $1 million.
And then also it's off of the tax assessed.
Tax assessed.
So that's a whole nother.
Is California off purchase price rather than?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
And it's immediate. It's like.
Plus you have county and Melrose taxes. Like, so it'll be like 1% state, 0.25% Contra Costa County, and then like a small Melrose tax for the whatever, Walnut Creek or something. I don't know exactly how that works, but yeah, I want to get to Dan Cho. I saw Ko'olani because I'm very familiar with Ko'olani. I drive it often, and I figured that must be the Vista. So he gives an address and says this Havens Vista 3-bedroom is at $585,000 compared to Hillsdale 3 bedrooms around $600,000 to $630,000. Is there something wrong with that particular unit? Dan, I would love to jump on a consult and talk about that with you. My old house, I don't think I could throw a baseball into EE Vistas from my old house, but I could maybe. I bet you I could. Nah, no, I would fall short. I'm trying to think how good of an arm do I still have, but close. If I could get it to roll to the gate.
Oh, okay.
Guarantee.
Okay.
And I guarantee I could hit a softball into EE Vistas from my old house. Guarantee. But I would damage a bunch of cars on the way and houses. So very familiar, and actually if you're interested in this, we actually have a seller considering selling their EE Vistas a little bit later. So if you're interested in that, you should hit us up because maybe we can put that together off market for you. They have some repairs and some fixing to do, but if they don't have to do it and the numbers work out, who knows? Maybe it's everyone wins.
And it would be good to look at the HOA dues.
So Havens at EE Vistas did go up, but they're historically a lot lower. Here, we'll do a live comparison.
Yeah, that's
Can
fun.
you do my screen, Kenj? So 161. So we're gonna pull up this this unit. This is Mililani Mauka. This looks like a second floor unit. Yeah, they're all good, but older appliances, these original cabinets, I have a high degree of confidence that there's probably some wearing and tearing on these cabinets somewhere. You can see like the Formica here. See if I can get my screen to zoom. See that little Formica bubble right there? And I think this is a line of scratch, the original like vinyl. So photographers do a great job of keeping pictures nice, but we have that eagle eye to call BS on photos. I mean, it's just an older original EE Vistas unit. Now, what I can't do is smell this unit through the computer because that can matter. And I know that sounds funny, but I mean, it literally matters. There's also where is this unit in the community, which is hard for me to tell. Maybe and Google Maps may or may not be accurate. But maintenance fee on this is $704 total for a 3-bedroom. And it's 968 square foot. Fees typically go off of square footage. Now let's look at the one in Hillsdale. I drive by Hillsdale all the time.
How far away are they from each other?
Half mile. But I will say this before even looking at this one in Hillsdale, EE Vistas is a different product. It's a gated community.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more of an elevated product than Hillsdale in general. Covered parking at times. So it's a different thing. So 924 square foot, 600,000. And what is the maintenance fee? 663. What did I say the last one was? 7?
I forgot already.
It was 7. So per square foot, I think is similar. This one's pretty close to Mehe'ula. So you're probably going to catch road noise from this one. Ko'olani is a pretty busy street too, but not Mehe'ula busy. Mehe'ula is very busy. What floor is this one? Is this the ground floor? No, this is the second floor as well. Second floor versus first floor with yard would matter. You can see the products are very similar, like the kitchen size and stuff. It's a similar thing.
So
I think
would you say that if he's in it for a longer hold and he didn't need necessarily the extra security, that one is a good buy? The cheaper one?
I'm looking, so historically, when I first, Ken, you can take my thing off. When I first moved back to Hawaii, I lived right up the street from Hillsdale and also not far from. Actually, I'm going to bring up the map here. Ken, you can go to my map. So this is Mililani Mauka. When I first moved back home, I grew up Eva Makakilo. My dad was a townie, so from Honolulu. When I first moved back, I moved into this community called Ku'ulako, these townhomes, and we were renting. Hillsdale is right here. So that unit was like this unit right here. And then EE Vistas is over here. Those are all super close. Where's my scale thing? How far is a mile? Oh, this is, but anyway, it's all super close. And then I moved into a house in this area, and it was right across from EE Vista. So I'm super familiar with these. What I would do right now, if you were interested in buying either, is we would look into the association, look into the reserves, look into their budget, look into the trend of how did they go up, when's their next insurance revision, do we think they're going to go down. We could also look a little bit historically, look back 8 years ago when all this COVID economics was irrelevant and it was just a different sort of long status quo post Great Recession in the 2010s, and look at how did EE Vistas versus Hillsdale perform. Now I can tell you, not data, but just my opinion, is that Hillsdale is seen to be of a lower echelon than EE Vistas. So generally speaking, I would go EE Vistas. But I think the question was, what was the question, Dan? The EE Vistas is 585, whereas the Hillsdale is 600. Let me go back to, I'm going to go back to Havens. All right. This will get too little boring if I go too far down this path. Let's see if the map shows it accurately where in the community it is as well. And no, not really, I don't think. Oh, maybe. I mean, is it that one, if this is accurate, and I have to look into it a little more, does it back up right onto this main road? Now, one thing about this road, so this is nuance, right? Up here, the way the houses are relative to the road, they're like equal level. So road noise is probably worse on this house. As you go down around here, the houses sit a lot lower and the road is higher. And so then the road noise is different. Like it's just not as bad. Yeah, I don't know. I'd want to look into the associations for you. I'm probably going EE Vistas here without, but that's not official real estate advice. I need to talk to you. I need to learn more. I can't give you advice without a dialogue. I can't do it in a pure monologue. Here, look, let's look at why this one is priced much higher. Is this ground floor with a yard?
Upgraded.
No, it just looks nicer. It's just staged. Nice. It still has linoleum in the original cabinets because those are the cabinets that Castle and Cook put in.
Crazy seller.
Well, there's that too. This one didn't show whether it was, oh no, this is also a second floor unit. I guess I could have looked at the unit number. What the one listed higher? Unit number 2. I don't know. Popcorn scraped. Yeah, I don't know. Darren, I know that I'm probably going EE Vistas over Hillsdale. However, if you want walkability to Mililani Mauka Elementary and Mililani Middle School, Hillsdale is more walkable. I like the parking and the sort of quiet, like Hillsdale, I feel more exposed. You're on the Mehi'ula main road, all the people going to the middle school and football and stuff going that way. The fire department's that way, so you get more sirens. And Hillsdale, you're just like in it. EE Vistas, you're tucked away more. It's always been my preferred value for that level of like condo-ish townhome. Now, upper level, I go Ku'ulako or Nohona if you want a garage. But I'm probably going to EE Vistas, and I hope that you reach out to us to talk about it. All right, let's look at some more. When prepping for home sale, what's the best way to calculate your renovation budget to get a positive ROI?
Great question.
That's another hard one because you start off with lower hanging fruits, right? Like, what is the easiest thing? So like, oh, my home is gorgeous, perfect. Looks like it could be on HGTV, but the front doorknob is missing or something. Well, that's your highest ROI, is that front doorknob. But the home is like one of these homes we just pulled up on the screen and it hasn't been renovated for 20 years. Where do we start, or do we even do it?
Right.
We start with low hanging fruit: paint, flooring, light fixtures. People are like, really, you're going to get rid of my ceiling fan? 10 years ago, I paid $400 for that. Yeah, but your ceiling's 8.5 foot and modern. They didn't have these flat LEDs now. It's going to be light, bright, clean, white. And then your AC is going to be blasting anytime we're showing this unit anyway. So light fixtures, paint, flooring. And then it just depends, do we do cabinets in stone? Like that's an investment. Do you get money back on that? How do your current cabinets look? Can we paint them? It really depends. I got a guy that'll paint cabinets pretty cheap too, especially if you're going to sell them. I have another company that's going to paint the cabinets at my house. They're more expensive, but I'm moving in, not moving out. Darren, yeah. So it's a lot of it just depends. But I do know that when we approach it, we say, is the juice worth the squeeze? So every dollar we spend, we'd like to get you multiples on having spent that dollar. But sometimes you spend $1, you don't know that it's going to make you more or less. It's sort of immeasurable or hard to trace the better offer back to having fixed that thing or invested that dollar. But we're confident that it puts your best foot forward and just presents maybe not even a higher offer, but it gets you one quicker, which is in most cases saving you money because you're burning less money if you get the offer quicker. Amen Kamal. Is the rate cut coming up an increase or a decrease? This is a Jody question. I still don't get how either one affects the house cost. If he increases rates that make it more expensive. No, you want to answer that?
Yeah. He wants your feedback too.
Oh, I see. Yes, and please, I would love Derek's input as well. I know both have great points. I'm always confused when this announcement. Yeah, I'm confused too, which is but it bothers me that when I don't know things. And so I typically have them prep me and then I wait. So tell me where I'm right, wrong. And then I kind of form my own opinion. But if rates go up, higher interest rates. So there's this many buyers at X% interest rate. When interest rates go up, that cloud shrinks. There's less buyers. And so if there's less buyers, there's less competitiveness. So less buyers, less people wanting to buy homes, less people competing maybe. And so then rates drop. When you have less people wanting to buy your thing, if I'm selling t-shirts and I have 1,000 people that want to buy this, I'm like, all right, the bidding will start at $1,000 stitches. But if I want to sell this t-shirt and people don't wear t-shirts around here, I'm like, please, $5? I can take it. And so that's kind of the dumbed down economics of when rates go up, it's not good for sellers. When rates go down, it typically is good for sellers. And it's good for buyers if you can get the house you want early on in the rate dropper, or somehow if you're buying your mom's house, then great. But it can be bad for buyers because then all the competition comes in. Everybody wants a t-shirt. And then the t-shirt seller, the house seller says, okay, well, the price is going up.
Yeah. So when the rates go down, the cost to borrow money or your monthly payment and your affordability, how much you can qualify for,
That too.
that you can now buy something that's more expensive and you're going to pay less. And that's great. So that's why a lot of buyers are on the fence right now. And they're saying like, I want to wait until rates go down. On the flip side, as rates go down, and like Derek said, the market gets more saturated or there's just more buyers, now all of a sudden you have to submit a stronger offer, which means you have to qualify for more and possibly even have more liquidity, which just means, if you were going to do 10% down and have enough money for closing costs, right? Now you might need an extra reserve above and beyond the 10% down and your closing costs to be able to compete and get your offer accepted. Versus when rates go up, yes, now the cost to borrow money goes up and now you're paying more and it feels more painful. But on the flip side, you could be like, hey, Mr. Seller, I'll buy your place and I want you to cover all my closing costs. And also, I know we noticed this, and this on the home inspection. I'd like you to at least do this. And the seller's going to be a lot more agreeable to not only pay for your closing costs. So we're talking like anywhere from like $9,000 to $16,000. And also consider repairs and remedies that might come up during the home inspection.
Yep.
Let alone getting your offer accepted. So that was the problem during the unicorn historically low interest rates, is that it was ridiculous. There was 30, 40, 50 offers on one house.
It's the most intense upward trending real estate market that we've ever seen in U.S. history. It was insane. If
you had zero down as a VA buyer and you didn't have cash reserves to say, yeah, I'll pay $10,000 over what it appraises for. So
$10,000 maybe in C country.
I mean, it was more like
60,000 sometimes.
Yeah, 50, 60, 70, 80,000. And for a first-time home buyer, that's not realistic.
It's like you're listing your home for here's a real example. You're listing your home for $800. Here's an offer for $860 and a term written in special terms guaranteeing that if it were to appraise short, appraise at $800, will cover the $60,000 gap for you. That's historic. Like some more seasoned agents had a hard time. I say seasoned, or let's say long in the tooth, because they're like, that's not how it should be done. That's ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but these economic conditions, and these market conditions make somebody's got to get paid. If interest rates are going to be at 2%, somebody's capitalizing. Well, they can't say, I'm giving you a great rate, so you have to give me extra money. We don't get to, in theory, we could be like, hey, I have this deal, I want a higher commission, but it really typically doesn't work like that. The person who was benefiting was the seller.
Yeah.
It's like, I know my home is worth $800,000, but you're gonna have to shoot in front of the target as it's moving, because you're gonna pay $860. You might have to come out of pocket, but you're gonna get to see it worth $960 fast, probably next year. And so it was a crazy market. Yeah.
Yeah, but also just to answer, I wasn't sure if you were sure, but the anticipation, the expectation is that the federal funds rate
Mm.
is going to go down in September, which is going to decrease the 10-year bond rate, which will decrease mortgage rates.
But then the very, very possible
Yeah.
real like actual effect is that anticipation was too great, and then when the report does come out, they have to actually raise rates a little, because in this time right now everyone's like it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
And then
everyone is like, everyone's celebrating, like, escrow officers are like, we're ready for the refi boom. Like,
Yeah.
all this stuff is happening. And then if Jerome Powell comes out and says, like, okay, we're going to do a quarter reduction, then the market expected more. And so that's why it's that really bitter moment of like, okay, well, you chose not to lock. And now that, yes, he did decrease rates, but he didn't decrease them enough. So now mortgage rates went up. And
yeah.
that's what people get.
We're gonna start wrapping this one up. We all gotta go to work, but Michael Lara, is first floor generally higher price? Yeah, it depends. I don't have pets, so I'd rather be on the second floor there, unless I know that it's a 60-pound old lady on the first floor who's keeping it for the next 20 years, because I don't want stomping above me. However, the first floor has that yard, and a lot of people do value that little bit of yard for their pet or just for barbecuing or plants or something. So it depends. And so can you share the name of the person or the company who's painting your cabinets, the higher quality one? Yeah, so they may or may not be better, but it's just like they're not my guy who knows how to do it. They're this company that's their specialty, and it's called Enhance. The letter N and then the word Hance. Shout outs to them. They're going to be doing my home soon. And tell them you heard about them here if you hit them up, because I love when people understand that we're bringing them value, and it's just good for business. Alana says, thank you. What's the average cost of a home inspection? Brenda, thank you for the comment, Brenda. It depends on the size of the home, but it's like between $600 and $1,200, 600, maybe 1,300. Depends on the size of the home.
Darren had one.
Is there any scenario where you wouldn't recommend a buyer to do an all cash offer? That's a personal decision. There's no scenario where I think cash is weaker. Now, some people, a good agent may look at cash and have some concern of like, are they going to be entitled just a problem? How are you behaving along with the cash? Like you see this beautiful human being of the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever you're into. We see this beautiful human being. You look at like, oh, does that come with problems? Does that come with other stuff? Sometimes cash comes with other behavior, and they act like I'm cash. So you're fixing this, you're fixing that. And then we as listing agents have to explain, you're 2 weeks apart from Jody's loan that nets us 10,000 more. So like, you better chill.
Yeah.
Now, from a personal finance and accounting and investment strategy standpoint, do you prefer leverage at 6%, or do you prefer, what do you prefer? What's best for you?
Yeah, like what type of monthly payment would you be comfortable with? What would the money be doing? What is it yielding where it is now?
What is your past behavior on that? Where is that 600,000 now? Is it under the mattress? Is it in high yield savings? Is it in an annuity? Like, where is that money? Yeah. So would you ever recommend? Well, you probably always recommend not cash, because that means, I'm joking, but when they're cash, you don't do business, right?
I mean, it's funny that I got into mortgages, but I would always think as an entrepreneur, like, and everyone's not an entrepreneur, but my thought was always like, I would want to leverage what I can and in a lifestyle that I would be comfortable having a monthly payment, because I want the rest of that money to be working and earning.
I watched a bit of I don't know if I finished it. I did finish. I watched a podcast with, have you heard of Graham Stephan? He's like a younger, like finance guru on the internet and stuff. And he did a sit down with Dave Ramsey, and Dave talked about why I didn't know Dave he's a really successful flipper. He had like he's owned thousands of homes, and he was flipping, and he was like young, like 22, with a few million out from a bank. But this is not like government or Fannie Freddie secure traditional mortgage debt that can't be called on, like the amortization's preset 30 years. These are 90-day notes. Now they usually roll over every 90, but if the bank was sold like it was for Dave, 90 days later they can be like, hey, those 10 different notes, we need that money. We need that. We're recalling that. And if you're not ready to sell those flips, you're screwed, right?
Yeah.
And that happened to him. And so he was like, debt no more. And so if you're more of a Dave Ramsey, like debt no more person, you may be afraid of debt. And you should be. Like credit card debt, don't do it unless you're principled and like paying, and then for ease and for points or whatever, and then you pay it off right away. Although Dave will say psychologically, if you use cash, you'll just spend less, actually 12% less, and that's greater than your 1% in points you're getting. Whatever. If don't go accrue debt otherwise, and student debt is not good debt either, in my opinion. But
I agree.
Differing from Dave Ramsey's like collapse story, 30-year mortgage debt, they can't call on it in a year and say,
Right.
They can sell it, so you can be paying, servicer A, and now you have to write the check and set up the direct payment servicer B or whatever. But they can't just say you owe me the $1 million. And so it's secured by an asset that a home in Hawaii, even if it goes down, it's not going to zero. If it did go down to zero, we have other world problems. You probably need to worry about food and water and shelter, So is there a debt better than mortgage debt? Like, is there a debt that you would want to have secured by a house in Hawaii that has actual government restrictions on how they can basically screw you, or sort of quasi and Fannie and Freddie? There's no better debt.
It's very safe.
It's safe.
It's very safe.
Yeah.
And, if your money can be yielding better returns, then that makes financial sense.
That said, my personal investment strategy is kind of switching to debt pay down. I have a lot of debt, and I'm just kind of trying to focus on more time with my kids and less growing right now and expanding. And so I'm going to switch to a little bit of it'd be cool to have a house paid off. But that's different. If we're talking about one house, do I pay cash? It's like, what do you do with the cash otherwise? If you're so sophisticated that you're doing all this other stuff with the other cash, and through multiple cycles up and down, you do well, and like, you probably don't need our answer anyway. Like, you have your answer, right? But if you're more of just a Dave Ramsey, like I save, I got cash, and I'm just simple, then probably pay the cash, man.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a small loan, and one advantage of having a loan is they look into crap for you. Like, they're looking at the budget of the HOA and all this stuff. So there is advantage to having a small loan too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else were you gonna say?
I can't remember.
Sorry. Yeah. Dan Cho, invest in crypto. No, bro. Well, we could talk about like the Bitcoin maximalist, like hedge and Bitcoin versus gold, and
that's the opposite way that's the opposite direction we were going down.
But we can never gonna say that.
I do remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, some people get actually anxiety about like having their mortgage payment, and their just like goal in life is to like not have a mortgage payment. If you're like that, pay out cash. I'm going back to reading The Psychology of Money, and they have a chapter on a principle that I'm already aware of, but the greatest use of money is that it buys freedom in the form of you can do what you want, who you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. And so if having the mortgage makes you feel like you have to go to a job that you hate, or you can't like take a sabbatical and look for a better situation because you have the mortgage, then like buy the security and the freedom of the cash, like get rid of the debt. Yep.
But if you're more Jody, like, I love my job, even though I wouldn't have to work, I'd still work. Then maybe take the leverage, So it's really, it depends. And so Dan, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to go to coreteamhawaii.com if you haven't already. And if we're not already connected, and let's talk about Hillsdale and E Vistas. We paid off our condo. We have paid off our condo. We did not use the VA loan. I am eligible to purchase another condo. Am I eligible?
Yeah. But you have to occupy it if you're going to use VA for at least 12 months.
So is the assumption that they have a VA loan that wasn't originally used?
That's my assumption because he said
Kevin
he did not
Davis?
use the VA.
Yeah. Well, actually, even if you had used the VA, you're eligible to use the VA again. But if you hadn't paid down the home, you would have to have a certain down payment. And so depending on your eligibility and Jody can pull that stuff, like pull your eligibility and stuff for you. Last state of mind, does the math truly make sense to buy right now versus rent? Honestly. A lost state of mind. I'm going to ask you to go back and replay this whole thing because I feel like maybe you came in late, which is all good, man. Thank you. I see you on here a bunch. We kind of went over that for this last hour. And again,
I mean, it depends on your goals.
The longer this discussion, like the longer time period that you're going to be in this home, the more principle based answer, which is I'm buying right now. I just bought. And in fact, I bought higher than I bought.
And you don't regret it.
I don't regret it. Do I wish I could have bought lower or gotten a better deal? But I wasn't buying in a neighborhood where deals are ubiquitous. Like there just aren't a lot of deals. There was one deal in the last like 3 years that one I consider like, oh, they got a deal. Like one. And so I didn't get a deal. In fact, I got the opposite of a deal. I paid too much, but I don't regret it. And principally for my family, for my marriage, for all that, it was just the right thing. And I'm not selling it anytime soon. So from a very principle-based approach, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were going to do like a year or two in that house and whatever, then no.
Right.
So it just depends.
Right.
Yeah. And that's just another, that's the answer to a lot of different questions. Like the same answer.
What's your favorite answer?
It's my favorite answer. That's the podcast. It depends.
It depends.
But here's another thing. So we'll get out of here. But it's hard to find people that own real estate and bought a long time ago and regret it.
I don't know anyone.
Even like your brother, for example, who is more of he could buy more real estate. He doesn't want to. He has like his little bit of real estate. And then that built a foundation. And then there's no more real estate. There's all these other things. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't regret the real estate. So my point is, he's not even a real estate guy.
No.
He's a guy, but like he does well in a lot of things. But
he's an investor.
He's an investor.
Call him an investor.
But he's not buying more real estate. He's not a real estate guy, really.
No.
But he 100% doesn't regret the real estate he bought.
Mm-mm.
It laid the foundation, right? And so you can't find someone who bought a home a long time ago in Hawaii and still owns it and regrets it. It's just not a thing. But I can walk outside in the parking lot and find someone who regrets never buying or not buying again, not buying more real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I can find one right now. Give me 30 seconds. I'll find one. Mm-hmm. Maybe a couple minutes. The next title of your live show, it depends. It depends. All right, guys, we're out.